The culture out in Canada was one that I wish we could reflect more here in America. They were so welcoming and so kind, especially on Newfoundland. Everyone's so willing to let you in the door, whether they wanted to hear your message or not, let you in, give you a cup of coffee, a cup of hot cocoa, or whatever you could drink, and just bring you in for some warmth. And very, very kind people, very generous. I've never seen that anywhere else, and it was a great example to me of how I want to be, being able to just have an open door to anybody. They also are very traditional. So their great-great-great-great-great-grandmother was a Catholic, so they're a Catholic, or great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother did things this way, and so they do the things that way, which is great, but was hard because they kind of have their feet in the ground with that. They're a bit stubborn to change ways. So I found that was kind of a challenge, especially with trying to teach the gospel to those people out there because they are so traditional.
A general Canadian stereotype, I don't know if that's the right word, but generally when people think of Canadians, I think they think that they're pretty nice. And I think that's pretty true. I think as a missionary you get both ends of the spectrum. So I have lots of memories of tracting in the middle of the winter, knocking on people's doors, and them being so kind and saying, "Oh, we just really hope you stay warm out there." It's just thinking, if you were really kind, you would just let me in and talk with me for 10 minutes. So they were always, generally speaking, it was a pretty kind group of people. Of course, there are exceptions everywhere. Something that I thought was interesting about being in Canada is that Canadians think about Americans a lot. But I don't think as Americans we think about Canadians very often. But there were always conversations going on about the pros of the Canadian government or medical or such and such system versus the cons of American. They think they've got it right. They're pretty proud of what they've done, and though sometimes the conversations are about the cons of Canada versus the pros of America, but that's not as common. So, and they know all sorts of things about the United States government, and they know the states, they know American history, which I don't know. When I first went to Canada, I didn't know anything about Canadian history, so I thought that was really interesting. They have a loyalty to the Queen. Even though they're their own separate country now, she kind of still has influence in their lives and in their system. They have some fun different foods. Where I was, there was a lot of Ukrainian influence, so they had a food called pierogies that was really common. People ate it all the time. It's like a mashed potatoes wrapped kind of like a pot sticker, but not a pot sticker. Mashed potatoes. And poutine, which is French fries with cheese curds and gravy on top of it. So some funny little foods. And they do speak a little bit differently. They do say hey or a in the washroom, and just little language variances that are fun to get used to and fun to embrace as a missionary. Hockey is a big deal in Canada. Even in the summer, there are groups that just continually play hockey all year round. The mall in Edmonton, the West Edmonton Mall, is really large, and it has a hockey rink in the middle of it that they use all year. And it's the cool thing to do to grow up playing hockey and getting good at it, or supporting your teams. Edmonton's team is the Oilers. I don't know the other teams very well. Another one is they have I think it's called the United Church of Canada, And we don't have that in the United States. As far as I'm concerned, it might be becoming adopted in the United States, but it's a combination of two evangelical Christian churches that just decided to join together. So that's a pretty common church, or people identify with that church regularly in Canada as well as with Catholicism.
So let me tell you about the culture of the Quebecois first. They kind of have a reputation. Some of them are quite proud of it, of being like the weather, kind of cold when it's cold and warm when it's warm. People are inside and keep to themselves a lot when it's cold in winter. That's where it's comfortable. It's really uncomfortable to be outside when it's so cold. During the summer, everyone's outside. They're all on their porch. People are, everyone's talking to neighbors and friendly. There's lots of parks. They're all walking to parks. People are outside during the summer. As far as how that affects their personality, a lot of people talk about how the Quebecois are cold on the outside, but they're really warm inside. Just like, it's cold outside and it's warm in their home. And what I like about that is they don't, they're not going to pretend to be nice to you or talk to you if they're not interested. They'll be direct with you. And when you do get to know and develop a friendship with them, they are very loyal and very kind and caring and hospitable people. And so I loved it. Like I felt people were, for the most part, they have a very genuine culture. And so I grew up in California, where a lot of people are very friendly, but maybe they don't want to talk to you. They'll be nice to you, but they may not want to talk to you, or they may be busy or something. And so for me, it was a contrast to meet someone who maybe seemed uninterested at first, but then actually was a really good friend. And so I liked that. I thought it was interesting. However, in Montreal, you have so many different cultures from all over the world. So let me talk about etiquette for a second. You got asked about etiquette. With the Quebecois, there was nothing different from growing up in my home and occasionally putting my elbows on the table, whatever. There wasn't anything offense. I never felt like I offended anybody by my etiquette at the dinner table. However, when I was in Montreal, you kind of have to be a chameleon if you're in this mission. Just see what the people are doing, and a lot of times they're okay if you ask questions like what's appropriate. For example, if you're eating with the African family, you may be eating with your hand. Make sure you use your right hand, not your left hand. The left hand is used for dirty things. The right hand is used for clean things like food. If you're with a Chinese family, it's okay to pick up your bowl and drink your soup. We had one ward mission leader who was from London, and for him it was very important that missionaries used their cutlery appropriately, and for him that was important. So he helped us. He helped teach us the way we should eat according to the way he learned growing up in London. I'm trying to think, you might have to use chopsticks. You might have to. There's so many different ways. You might eat the shell of the shrimp, or you might take off the shell of the shrimp. It depends on, just kind of watch what's going on around you. But it's exciting because you really do get exposed to so many different ways. So I think it's good for a missionary in those eating situations to be observant and kind and be willing to take correction. Sometimes the correction comes pretty abruptly, and don't take offense. In the city, you have people from all different cultures, and a lot of people are new to the area, and so most people in Montreal will actually listen to you or talk to you and have a conversation, because it's kind of like everybody's a stranger. Even people from Quebec, they've come to Montreal, to the city, to work or to go to school. And so a lot of people are open-minded, especially the younger generation, like the young single adult age, very open-minded and willing to talk about religion. You might have, they may have strong opinions about it as well. But you can have great dialogue and conversation about religion. In some of the smaller towns, I found that it really wasn't effective to be pushy, especially because they're small towns and you're probably going to see that person again the next week. And so it's really, for us, it was helpful just to, we still, of course, we're missionaries. We ask people if they're interested, but to quickly accept no for an answer. And then a lot of times we'd offer service if it looked like they needed help with something. A great friendship we had where we ended up sharing the gospel with the family was, they said, no way, go away. And they were painting their porch, and so we offered to, hey, we could come back tomorrow in our street clothes and help you paint. Would you like that? And they're like, oh, sure. And we developed a great friendship with them, and we'd see them about once a week just as friends and say hi. And finally, they asked about religion. And so I think it's a culture where it didn't really pay off to be pushy. It helped to be patient and just be create some awareness. Most people weren't aware of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I think since I was there, while I was there, and since I've been there, a lot has been done to develop awareness of the church, and people know who the missionaries are. And a lot of people distinguish now between missionaries from our church, from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and other missionaries from other faiths. One thing that we did that was exciting, I'll share this story quickly, is we went to a baseball game, the Montreal Expos, before they moved away from Montreal. And somehow it was arranged that we got to sing, the entire mission would sing the national anthem at the beginning of the game. And so we did. So we had, I think we had about 200 missionaries at the time, singing the national anthem, around the pitcher's mound. And we were in the tunnel giving high fives to the San Francisco Giants as they went out to play. And that was just a really cool experience for us, first of all. But for weeks after, missionaries would see people in the park or out on the street and said, hey, you're one of those people that was at the game. And so these baseball fans recognized and remembered us. And just being out there and being, trying to be part of the community really helped a lot to create awareness and start the dialogue of religion with people.